Good afternoon. My name is Marina Donoghue and I'm Regional Director with Enterprise Ireland, based here in London. A warm welcome to everyone. Lá Féile Póric Sana Díobh Galéir, in English, a happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. We have a full agenda over the next 45 minutes and some housekeeping points to start. We're recording the webinar, and if you have any questions, please do post on the chat function, and time permitting, we'll answer them. If not, we'll come back to them soon after. For those who are not familiar with Enterprise Ireland, we are the trade and innovation arm of the Irish government and have recently been recognised as the most active venture capital fund by PitchBook. Enterprise Ireland works in partnership with over 4,000 Irish companies, and we help them start, grow, innovate and win export sales in global markets, including the UK, Ireland's largest export market. St. Patrick's Day is an important date in the Irish calendar as we celebrate and embrace our heritage and culture and acknowledge and foster relationships and trade links globally. We ordinarily would be meeting in person today and sharing some hospitality of good Irish food and refreshments, and looking forward to an opportunity later this year and hopefully a different St. Patrick's Day 2022 where we can all be together. So alas, enjoying some fine Irish cheese, some meat, some seafood, Guinness whiskey and perhaps chocolate together will have to wait. So thank you for joining us today for NUA, a celebration of Irish innovation. Reflecting on the last year, it has been a period of great change and uncertainty throughout. It has also been a period of both tremendous innovation and resilience, also solidarity and community. Firstly, the agility of Irish companies to respond quickly and the innovative solutions they have offered in the UK is impressive, and you'll hear about that shortly. Congratulations to all our clients on the call today and on the success you've achieved in recent years, and a particular shout out to those who are joining us from Ireland on your day off. Secondly, as we pause and reflect on the year, the solidarity and the deepening of relationships with our diaspora is noteworthy. On behalf of all of my colleagues at Enterprise Ireland here in London and in Manchester, we remain very grateful to the Irish diaspora for all the support you've given our clients and EI UK during this year. Your friendship is deeply appreciated. Today we'll have a chance to hear from a number of valued Irish community in the UK and the roles they've played. Our historic links with the UK run deep, and our connections and relationships across the Irish diaspora are extremely valuable to all of us. Our UK manager, Deirdre McPartland, will touch upon that later. We're delighted that An Tánaiste Leo Varadkar is joining us, and I will shortly introduce him to deliver a keynote address. I'll then introduce Sarah McNabb, a colleague here in London, who will chair a panel and introduce a video showcasing Irish innovation and the solutions that have played an integral role in helping the UK navigate through a challenging and unprecedented period. Our panel of experts includes Ambassador Adrian O'Neill, Theresa Grant, Chief Executive of Northamptonshire County Council, Sinead Finn, Director of Affinity, and Siobhan, Lalor-McTague, who's Director of Nursing, Commercial Directorate at Guy's and St Thomas's here in London. This panel will touch on the impact of the pandemic, of Irish innovation, and of also celebrate the relationships between Ireland and the UK. So thank you to all of our panelists for taking the time to join us today, and all of our guests who've supported Irish industry and have an interest in doing so. Congrats again to all of our clients, and wishing you continued success in global markets. So without further delay, it is a great privilege and an honour to introduce Ireland's Deputy Prime Minister, An Tánaiste Leo Varadkar. Tánaiste is a Fine Gael politician and a physician who has served as Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment since June 2020. Previously, he was Ireland's Taoiseach, or Prime Minister, from June 2017 to 2020. Tánaiste, thank you for your continued support you've given Enterprise Ireland across the globe. During a period where Irish companies have been restricted in travelling overseas, you've been a powerful voice in support of Irish industry at home and overseas. We are delighted you can join us on our national holiday for a NUA event. I would now like to ask Leo Varadkar, Tánaiste, to address the audience.
Well, thanks, Marina, and Lála Pádraig Sana Díobh, and good afternoon. And thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. I'm just sorry we can't do this in person this year. It has been an unprecedented year for both of our countries, and a huge amount has changed since this time last year. However, one thing that remains the same is that Ireland and the United Kingdom continue to share a close and special relationship, one that extends well beyond our trading relationship and our common travel area to deep cultural and familial ties. Our two countries are intimately connected and will continue to be so into the future. Nearest neighbours, connected by history, commerce, and by family. It's fitting that today's event is called NUA, meaning new in the Irish language. And as we celebrate this year's festival, much of the world is still dealing with the terrible consequences of the pandemic. However, there is a new sense of hope and optimism at the moment. We know a lot more about the virus than we did before, and crucially, we now have vaccines, and they work. And I'm confident that the breakthroughs we've seen with vaccines, testing, and treatment put the world firmly on the path to recovery. As we rebuild, we can all look forward to a world that recognises how truly interconnected and reliant we all are on each other as countries and as people. Nuailiacht also stems from NUA, Nuailiacht meaning innovation in the Irish language. And today I want to pay tribute to all of the companies that have demonstrated such remarkable resilience and innovation in the year gone by. Companies like Nearform helping to limit the spread of COVID-19 by creating the official contact tracing app being used in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Jersey. SilverCloud providing remote on-demand digital mental health and wellbeing care across the entire NHS for its workforce and patients. These companies, and many more of them, were able to pivot quickly in the middle of the pandemic and make a really significant contribution to our efforts in managing this virus. The importance of our bilateral relationship cannot be understated, and over the coming months and years ahead, the Irish and UK governments will be working together to strengthen it further. As you may know, last November, we announced that Manchester was to become the location for a new Consulate General of Ireland in the north of England. And last week, we announced that Sarah McNabb will be the new and first Consul General there. This announcement represents a very positive development, and I hope will be seen as a very strong signal of Ireland's commitment to the Irish-British relationship, following on from the reopening of the consulate in Cardiff. As the world emerges from COVID-19, there's a need to build back better and prioritise sustainability and bring about a green and digital recovery. So this St. Patrick's Day, we're launching a new Ready for Green Future campaign to showcase pioneering Irish businesses creating real solutions to help reduce our fossil fuel emissions. They're looking at new ways to solve age-old problems in areas like energy generation, food production, construction, and transport. So I'm going to leave it there because I know there's a busy schedule ahead for the next 45 minutes. I want to thank once again Ambassador O'Neill and his staff for all the work that they're doing for us in the UK, Theresa Grant, Sinead Finn, Siobhan Lalor, and many of the other Irish diaspora and friends of Enterprise Ireland for their continued support and interest in driving Irish innovation and collaboration with the UK. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this afternoon's webinar. And once again, happy St. Patrick's Day. Grimmy Lagos.
Thank you very much, Tánaiste, and thank you, Marina, for your great words. And keeping on the topic of innovation, I'm delighted to share with you the premiere of Enterprise Ireland UK's Innovation Showcase video, NUA. Last year, Ireland ranked 6th worldwide for COVID innovation solutions, and this video highlights just some of the many Irish companies that have helped contribute to the COVID response in the UK.
This St. Patrick's Day will be like no other. We're living through strange times, where things we took for granted are anything but certain. We have all had to adapt our mindset, our means, and our imagination. However, one thing that remains constant is Ireland's special relationship with our nearest neighbour. The UK has always been and remains Ireland's largest single trading partner. And this year, through innovation and collaboration, Irish companies have helped the UK navigate through the emerging and unprecedented challenges that the last 12 months have presented. Nearform have helped to limit the spread of COVID-19 by creating the official contact tracing app of Northern Ireland, Scotland and Jersey. SilverCloud have provided remote, on-demand, digital mental health and well-being care across the entire NHS for both its workforce and patients. Aerogen have delivered aerosol medication to ventilated patients and is collaborating on the development of over 15 potential COVID-19 inhaled therapies. Villicom rapidly equipped NHS Nightingale hospitals with vital mobile and data networks to ensure staff and patients could keep connected with friends and family. Noveris, technology that inactivates airborne viruses and bacteria, has given clean air to hospitals, dental clinics and businesses across the UK. The Tauglass Crowd Insight solution is helping UK city councils with safe social distancing and movement analytics by utilising existing Wi-Fi infrastructure. Vitalograph's remote monitoring solutions have helped the NHS support respiratory patients at home during the pandemic. SwiftQ have assisted NHS trusts in managing safe COVID-19 testing and vaccine appointments across the UK. And Dayon are allowing airlines to safely welcome back customers via digital health passport Verifly. Now, more than ever, we can see the importance of the Irish-UK relationship and the incredible things that can happen when we come together. So, while we may not be able to celebrate together as we usually would, we certainly have a lot to be proud of this St. Patrick's Day.
It's powerful stuff. So thank you to all of the companies mentioned and to the many others that have helped contribute to the COVID response in the UK, Ireland and across the globe. If you'd like to rewatch or share that video, we'll be putting it on our Enterprise Ireland UK LinkedIn after this event. So I'd now like to welcome our panel. If you could please switch your cameras and mics on, that'd be brilliant. While you're getting set up, I'll briefly just introduce you. We have Ambassador Adrian O'Neill, who took up duty as Ireland's ambassador to the UK in 2017. Prior to that, he has served across Europe, the US and Ireland, and has also served as Secretary General to the President of Ireland. We have Sinead Finn, who has over 20 years experience in the travel industry, including Director of Commercial Revenue at Ryanair, and now heads up Affinity, a UK travel tech accelerator. We have Theresa Grant, who has over 40 years experience in local government across the UK and Ireland, and is now Chief Executive of Northamptonshire Council. And last but by no means least, we have Siobhan Lalor-McTague, who is Director of Commercial Nursing at Guy's and St Thomas, which is one of the busiest and most successful NHS trusts in the UK. You're all very welcome and delighted to have you here. And I'm just echoing what the other speakers have said. It's a shame it's not in person, but hopefully we can make up for it next year. So you're all very welcome. I might just kick off by kind of taking a look back at the past year we've had and what it's been like in your respective sectors. And Ambassador O'Neill, in your case, how would you describe the quality of the Irish-UK relationship now, given the challenging 12 months that we've come through?
Well, I would say, look, I mean, it's been thanks, Sarah. It's been a difficult year. I mean, the essence of diplomacy and being a diplomat is to meet people and to be able to kind of form working relationships and to develop trust around that. And when you don't have that ability, you don't have an ability to offer hospitality and welcome people to the embassy as we normally would around St. Patrick's Day, it certainly does limit your effectiveness. Now, okay, we've all maximized, we've all become very adept at using technology and Zoom and Teams and everything like that, and that has certainly been a great assistance. We've been able to stay in communication, but communications, you know, it tends to be a bit more transactional, and in terms of developing depth in relationships, it's a bit more limited. But I would say the one thing that maybe we have learned through the experience of the last year, certainly here in Britain, and certainly engaging with the Irish community in Britain, has been just the depth of resilience that there is within the Irish community and within the business community as well, and the real importance of collaboration. That I think in a certain sense the pandemic has forced us to collaborate more, to come together as teams and to realize that we will achieve much more collectively than we will, you know, individually or as individual organizations.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ambassador. And kind of echoing on that, Theresa, maybe if you could share what it's been like in Northamptonshire and just in general for the past 12 months, and obviously that lack of being able to travel, that lack of in-person relationship, how have you found that?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting year for local authorities across the UK and Ireland. I'm sure the same as well, in that we've been at the forefront of responding to the virus with residents. So I have responsibility for about 750,000 residents in my county, and the challenges that we've had to shift our delivery model as an organisation. We've had to decide what was a priority and what wasn't, and we had to manoeuvre people onto the ground to actually go out and support vulnerable residents with things that we never expected we would do. And there's, some great stories and examples. We mobilised a whole volunteer force of public who came forward, and we saw the side. Things like the virus like this brings out the best and the worst in things, and we've certainly seen some of the best come through that. And for us as an organisation and every council, we've had to innovate. We've had to look at how we do things far more efficiently to be more effective. We've had to look for different ways of doing that. And there's been some very important learning that I hope will be embedded into future models of delivery going forward. And there's opportunities in those for innovative companies to come into the market to help to innovate in local authorities, to embed that learning from what has been a really, really challenging and difficult time for local government.
Great, thank you, Theresa. And echoing that, Siobhan, obviously it's been a very challenging year for the NHS. How have you found it, and how has innovation played a role in kind of getting through these 12 months?
Yeah, certainly a challenge for all healthcare professionals in this last 12 months, looking after some of the sickest people I suspect they will see in their career span. I guess one of the biggest benefit, I think, and I hope that we hold, and I hear Mr. Varadkar's words, build back better, is we can't now return back. We need to hold this innovation and hold these advancements that we've made in life and in healthcare delivery, and in, I guess, responding in a more paced and attentive way to innovators when they come to us with ideas and when companies present themselves. I know some of the challenges, the whole groundwork that has to be laid, and the testing and all of that has its place, but we became very responsive very quickly 12 months ago, and we must hold that kind of sense of urgency to modernise and move forward and work, in such a collaborative way for the greater good across healthcare provision. So I hope we hold that kind of sense of urgency and speed with us. And the only other comment I want to make from the film, which I thought was magnificent, was about how innovation helps all parts of life, from travelling to delivering the most intimate medicine to sick people. And I guess the only other thing to say is about the mental well-being of people coming through a pandemic. And some of those resources that are available online are going to be most critical for us in the healthcare sector and for all people as they come out into the new kind of world that emerges post-pandemic.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's Silvercloud that have the remote mental health and well-being, which is it's a brilliant resource, and yeah, it's great. And you touched on travel briefly there, Siobhan. I might jump into you, Sinead, and how's the past 12 months been for your sector? Again, obviously it's been very toughly hit, but there is definitely a sense of hope from what I'm reading and hearing.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been devastating, Sarah, for travel. To fully understand, I think we need to go back to 2019. The travel industry supported 1 in 10 jobs globally. It made a 10.3% contribution to global GDP and generated 1 in 4 of all new jobs. The World Travel and Tourism Council recently suggested that 174 million jobs were impacted globally in 2020 in travel. So that really, tells the story of how badly the travel industry has been hit. However, like everyone else who's speaking on the panel today, there has been, incredible innovations this year in the travel industry that are helping to keep the industry alive. And you're right, we remain very hopeful because we know vaccines are the way out of this in terms of the travel industry.
Brilliant. And you touched on some of the innovators you've been working with or that are in the industry, and I know you've worked with quite a few, Sinead. Are there any, you know, Irish solutions that have kind of particularly stood out to you, and what's it been like working with these Irish companies?
Well, first of all, I'd say it's fantastic working with Irish companies because they've just got this fabulous energy, and the video that you've just shown, you know, displays that in the best possible form. But over the last 11 years, I've worked with many Irish companies such as Cartroller, Datalex. But in the past year, the companies that have really caught my eye are Dayon, who actually amazing job helping organizations to train in a better way using AI and VR. I love what they're doing. And then there's EdgeTier, because there's been a huge pressure this year on contact centers, customer contact centers in the industry. And EdgeTier are adding intelligence to customer contact centers. So I love what they're doing too.
Brilliant. And Theresa, from your experience, you've worked with many Irish companies. Do you think they need to work harder to establish and maintain relationships now with local authorities, given that, you know, they're not able to travel to market? There's been, you know, pauses on procurement.
Yeah, and many of the Irish companies that I've helped and spoken to have bases in the UK, so they're able to operate quite effectively even during lockdown, and it hasn't hindered their relationships too badly. Yes, they do need to work harder, but you would say that in any circumstances, if you want to expand your business, you always need to work harder. I think it's a difficult time in that Brexit has hit as well at the same time, and we've seen a massive drop in exports from the UK. Now that hasn't really crystallized because of COVID, and it's not really making the headlines that it would normally make. But our nearest neighbour in the UK is Ireland, so there's even more of an impetus for that exchange to happen in a more collaborative way than there ever has been. And if you add the two things together, you know, the impact of COVID and the impact of Brexit, it could have either a galvanizing effect for the two countries, or it could have a detrimental effect. And I think if we work hard to bring the two together, it should have a really galvanizing effect to create more innovation, more trade, stronger relationships, and a symbiotic kind of relationship that could exist between the two nations in terms of export and innovation. And we've seen some of that before lockdown. We've seen a lot of that before Brexit happening, and we just need to make sure we don't miss and lose that foundations that were put in place before we had the recent challenges.
Absolutely. And you mentioned there about you know, having a base here is so crucial. Siobhan, do you think that you know, with obviously the travel restrictions, but then also with Brexit, do you think that UK customers and organisations have become more focused on buying UK based you know, products and from UK based suppliers?
Well, I think a sense of loyalty has prevailed. You know, this pandemic has shown that every country has had to rely on its own internal resource. I'm talking about healthcare and transport, and I guess resilience has been built in our houses and in our communities and in our countries. But one thing I would hope that it would galvanise it and move it forward is that there's so much crossover, there's so much family and working across, and everyone's quite invested. You know, the history of travel and, you know, movement and work is so long back in history and is still established today. And I think that that's a real critical factor going forward to about how and where people will choose to work. You know, some of those special relationships really are special because we will go to our nearest neighbours and we will follow up our trade partners. And I think that's the future for us.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And I think a crucial part of that is the common travel area, which you know, is very unique in Europe. And Ambassador, you know, it does provide an advantage. Do you think it's understood well enough in UK business circles and in government?
Well, I think it certainly is understood in government and on both sides of the Irish Sea. I'm not too sure maybe that it is as well understood in business in the UK, and it certainly gives Ireland a very big competitive advantage, it seems to me. I mean, a lot of these companies, the wonderful companies that were profiled there in the video, which is very inspiring and positive, I have to say, a lot of those companies, I imagine, it's not just a question of they sending their product, transporting their product to the UK. These kind of solutions and so on also require backup support and services and involve people travelling across the Irish Sea. And in those situations, the UK purchasers have the assurance that the expertise and the backup support that they need from these companies is going to be, readily available. That there won't be any visa requirements if they need to get any people over from Ireland to support the installation of these programs and solutions and so forth. That the common travel area, basically facilitates that without any bureaucracy, as I said, or visa requirement or anything like that. So I think that is a tremendous asset. It gives us a very big competitive advantage as against other fellow EU member states who don't have that advantage. And certainly I think it's worth something else, worth promoting more knowledge of among UK business.
Brilliant. Yeah, and Sinead, I might ask you to jump in there, because I know it's obviously very relevant for the travel industry. And up until recently, I think Dublin to Heathrow was the most travelled route in the world. I think up until somewhere in Asia beat us. But
yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, the UK is a global hub. Sarah, and airline registers in the UK and Ireland carried more passengers in 2019 than any other country apart from China and the US. And to be specific, that's 310 million passengers. So I think COVID has muddied the waters, and the rules of entry, are different in the UK from those in Ireland. Doesn't help matters. However, once the restrictions are lifted, it presents a huge advantage for Ireland. The UK is going to be ahead in terms of economic recovery. The vaccination program is well underway. We've all said, even this time last year in the travel industry, we were very aware that vaccinations is what's going to get us back on track. The common goal amongst all countries, in fact, to get travel back on track. I think if Ireland can be there first, it's the UK's closest neighbour, and the commercial advantages are huge.
Brilliant, thank you, Sinead. So moving on to Irish exporters to the UK. So a really impressive figure: 89% of Irish exporters see future opportunities in the UK, and 4 in 5 plan to grow their exports. So it's brilliant to see such confidence from our clients. Theresa, maybe what assumptions though do Irish companies make that could potentially prevent them from being successful in market?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more bureaucracy, possibly, if I could use the word, in the UK than there is in Ireland in breaking into the markets. And I think they shouldn't assume that the same rules apply. And I know a lot of them don't, because they're already successfully operating here. There's also structure around bidding for business. So there's routes into business here that if you crack those routes, you get in and you're then into the system. So it's actually cracking the system and getting into the system, and then you can operate really effectively. And as you move through my engagement with Enterprise Ireland, those are not difficult routes to break into once you're aware of them and you know how to do that. And that gets you into the bidding system and gets you into the notifications for contracts. But I think as well that it's not as relationship based in the UK as it is in Ireland, and many Irish companies are really successful in Ireland through relationship based and word of mouth. Much harder to do that in the UK. Bigger population, so it's harder to get that word out that you're successful, that you're good, that your product is quality. So you need to market in a different way. You need to take your product to market in a different way. It almost needs to be far more focused on your target audience rather than a blanket approach. So I would advise Irish companies who are not already operating here, who want to break into the UK markets, to think more carefully about how they use their resource to do that, because you're smart rather than hard, and that would be my advice.
Okay, thank you, Theresa. And Siobhan, coming to you, are there any assumptions that you think that Irish companies might make that could hinder their success in the NHS or healthcare across the UK?
Well, I would sort of echo what Theresa says as well. I think a lot of companies don't know what they don't know about getting into, I guess, the UK market, and for me would be into healthcare provision and innovation in the, you know, tech and medical supply and devices. You know, there's a whole range of areas of opportunity. And I guess one of the things that when we worked with Irish Enterprise before was about trying to show them a route in and a way to kind of navigate the NHS. And even if they didn't do business with us at Guy's and St Thomas's, they still were better enabled to move their businesses forward. And they got some of that information and exactly that knowledge that Theresa spoke about how to go to market with their product.
Yeah. Great, thanks Siobhan. So kind of moving on to what the future looks like in your sectors, and Ambassador Neil, in your case, what the future look like for the Irish and UK relationship. I know the Tánaiste mentioned the establishment of a consulate in Manchester, which is great news.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it is fantastic. I mean, look, I think, you know, Ireland, in terms of globally, we probably have three big strategic relationships, and not necessarily in this order: United States, European Union, and our nearest neighbour, the UK. And I think, you know, even allowing for Brexit and even allowing for the transitional, you know, issues and challenges arising from Brexit, the UK will still remain a very strategic relationship for Ireland for a number of reasons. And the government has clearly made a decision that is going to invest in that relationship in a number of ways. We've enhanced our resources here in the embassy over recent years. We've reopened our consulate in Cardiff in 2019. We're now joining Enterprise Ireland in Manchester with the consulate, which will be established there. As Tánaiste mentioned, Sarah McNabb will take up duty in the summer, and her remit will be for the entire three regions of the north of England, which is a combined population of 15 million people. The Taoiseach and the Prime Minister have very ambitious plans to reinvigorate and reset relations between our two governments post-Brexit. So, as I said, notwithstanding, you know, current turbulence around Northern Ireland Protocol and so on, all those issues have to be worked through. I think there is a determination to work through them, and I think there's a determination to ensure that the relationship goes from strength to strength.
Brilliant. That's really great news, Adrian. Thank you. And Sinead, the future of the travel sector, you know, what does the future look like? Are there kind of trends that you're seeing? And, you know, hopefully it's positive and we can all get on a plane soon.
I'm seeing all the other panelists smiling, dreaming about the next holiday away. I think the future is incredibly bright in travel. It's all about lifting the restrictions, you know, and the border controls. But do you know one person who no longer wants to travel? There's a huge pent-up demand, and pricing will be very aggressive in order to get people flying again. I read yesterday, just on the New York Times, there are 2 new airlines starting up. You know, despite the pandemic that we're going through, there's still light at the end of the tunnel. In recent weeks, we've seen airlines and airports take control of matters by supporting testing and launching travel passes. Verifly, who we already mentioned, they partnered with American Airlines during the summer, actually, and they've recently partnered with British Airways here in the UK. Ryanair has just launched its COVID-19 travel wallet, and that's available on the Ryanair app. So travel companies are really pushing to reopen, and here in this country, obviously, the restrictions are due to be lifted in May. So yeah, bright future, hopefully a great summer.
Great, thanks Sinead. And Theresa, I might head to you. What does the future look like? And, you know, I know that there's some key kind of themes of sustainability and digital transformation, social value that are kind of integral to local governments across the UK. What does the future look like for Northamptonshire?
Well, the future, first of all, is I want one of those holidays Sinead has mentioned. I think for local government, I think some of the key things that I think industry as well needs to look out for is the recent funding announcements. So if you think about the Levelling Up Fund, the big community fund that's been announced recently as well, and the Towns Fund, and combined all of those together, it's billions of pounds that's going to be pumped into the economy through local government over the next 12 to 18 months. And there's tight timescales on delivery of some of these projects. So there will be, as a result, huge innovation coming forward. There will be people seeking companies that can help and support that innovation. And I would advise, you know, all of those companies listening in, look at all of those funds, look at the types of things that can be supported and funded through those funding allocations, and be ready with your ideas to come forward, to be able to support local government and public sector more generally with spending that money. I think it's a bit of a blank sheet of paper for me. We don't really know what the future looks like because it's not written yet. And who would have said a year ago that the future year was going to look like this? So I think it's a future year of opportunity, and a year of creativity, and I would really encourage people who are in that opportunity market and innovative market to come forward with ideas.
Thanks, Theresa. And Siobhan, we might just finish up with you, Siobhan, to kind of say, what does the future look like for your sector, and, you know, any trends or kind of innovators that you're seeing?
Well, I guess to say that our arms are open wider. I really believe this in healthcare sector now for innovation. Most organisations will have leads now for innovation. You know, this is becoming kind of formal work in our business, is to embrace innovation in a new and more receptive way. And certainly in my organisation, you know, there's people and there's new, you know, pathways to bring innovators into the system, and that will go across the whole of healthcare. So I would say, you know, the future is bright, particularly in the health service, taking out some of the red tape and moving forward more swiftly. So I think it will be good next 2 to 5 years.
Brilliant. Thanks, Siobhan, and thank you, everyone. The time has absolutely flown, and unfortunately we're going to have to wrap up. But yeah, really insightful and interesting panel. Thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully we can do this in person soon, and we'll certainly make up for it next St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, thank you all.
Thanks, Sarah.
Patrick's Day all. And I'd like to welcome Deirdre McPartland on now, UK Country Manager, just to say a few words about the Irish diaspora and Friends of Enterprise Ireland.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much. And I'd like to join you in thanking the panel and compliment you, Sarah, on putting together a really fascinating discussion. Thank you. So as Sarah mentioned, I'm Deirdre McPartland, and I'm Enterprise Ireland's UK Country Manager. And to kick off, I'd like to just share one piece of information with you all. In February, we conducted a poll of our clients, and we asked them their feelings about the UK and opportunities there. So if you think of February as a time of acute nervousness around the mechanics of trading with the UK, 89% of these Irish exporters said that they could see future opportunities in the UK, and 4 in 5 have a strategy to grow in the UK, with a further 15% saying that they wanted to sustain their exports. And I'm sharing that because I think what it really shows is the commitment of Irish companies to the UK, and it shows their resilience and their determination. And that's no surprise to all of us here based in the UK, and to us in Enterprise Ireland. Market attractiveness takes many forms, and proximity and language and familiarity remains a major draw. But as many of the panelists have said, we know that we have to work harder now to be successful, and we have to work harder at staying connected. And in Enterprise Ireland, I suppose our role is to accelerate the speed at which that ambition of Irish companies can be realised, and to actually improve their chances of success. And we do that by sharing deep market insights and intelligence that we glean from industry insiders, or we do that by facilitating introductions and helping Irish companies understand how the UK market or sectors within the UK market operates. We help them validate their assumptions, we help them test their differentiation, and now, of course, with Brexit, we help them understand the new rules. So in our offices in Manchester and in London, we're really lucky to have a team that is absolutely passionate about helping Irish companies grow in the UK. And you've met Sarah just now, but each team member works with a defined sector, and each of them are as passionate and as dedicated as Sarah. And those sectors range from construction through to agriculture, from life sciences through to fintech, from healthcare to wellness and beauty, from music to Internet of Things, offshore wind to automotive and aerospace and everything in between. And the UK is and remains the first destination for our exporters. So in terms of volume of demand and the breadth and range of what Irish companies do, we know as a team that we will never be able to serve their needs alone. And we are blessed in the support that we get from members of the Irish community here and friends of Ireland based here in the UK. And their openness to share, their generosity blows us away time and again. And as listeners, you've had a flavour of some of those absolutely wonderful people on our panel today. And we've prepared some slides where we've added a selection of some of the other wonderful individuals that we have worked with in some of our sectors and some of our activity this year. It doesn't include everyone, but it gives you a flavour. So
You're on mute, Deirdre. If you could unmute yourself. Thanks.
I have a big unmute post-it, which I clearly overlooked as planned. But to give you an idea of the range of some of the work of these people. So some of these people have given their time as mentors to Irish companies. They're giving in-depth advice to us on how their industry is changing. They're being a sounding board, either for us or directly to companies when they're testing their value propositions. They're providing advice to companies on how to establish a presence in the UK or tips on pitfalls to avoid. They've been joining us in podcasts and webinars where they share their insights with companies in Ireland. They've been connecting us or our clients to their network. And the range of support varies. I mean, some people provide us with one short chat, and that chat can help us navigate an organization or an industry. Or others go as far as Elvin, who I think is popping up or has just popped up, who has collaborated on whole events. So even in there, we have some of our clients who have looked back on previous careers in the UK and they've shared their networks from that time with us. So as mentioned, that only provides a selection of some of the names and some of the people. And as we pulled it together, we realized how much more we want to share the detail of what they've done. And we want to thank you all properly when we can meet again. So here we've mentioned, some of the individuals who have made a massive difference for us in Enterprise Ireland in the past year. But we are lucky enough to be part of Team Ireland in the UK and to benefit from the support and the collaboration of colleagues in the embassy, in the Board BIA, in the IDA, Tourism Ireland and our consulates in Edinburgh and in Cardiff. And our work is also complemented by the fantastic Irish business networks on the ground here in the UK, and also by the British Irish Chamber of Commerce, and indeed by our DIT counterparts in Ireland. So before I kind of draw to a close, and we have two wonderful gifts that I'm going to share with you all on the call. We have one final slide, and I'm pulling this up because I know that often after an event like this, people, listeners, want to connect or understand more. So here's some resources. The first is our Global Ambition page, and this is more directed at our clients. This is where we share our sector guides, our reports, podcasts, and so on that have been completed. But if you want to have a view on upcoming events, you can follow us at best on our Enterprise Ireland UK LinkedIn page. And if you're in general interested in the kind of innovation coming from Ireland, have a look at our irishadvantage.com page for more information. And we will, in an email after this, share the names of the various people in Enterprise Ireland connected to the sectors. You are more than welcome to reach out to myself or Marina, but there's a wonderful lady in the background here who's been pulling all of this together, Gillian Butler, and she's provided her email address there as well, in case you're having trouble finding a route to chatting to us. So as I mentioned, as a mark of our appreciation to everyone today, and to celebrate all the things that we love about Ireland, we have received gifts that we can share with all of you. And those gifts were donated by 2 of our clients. The first is from a company called Dublin Vinyl. This is a recording of James Joyce's poems set to song. And I listened to it. It's a powerful collaboration of some of Ireland's outstanding artists and musicians. Haunting and magical are 2 of the words that come to mind. And we'll send that gift to everyone who participated in this event and in the audience in a follow-up email. And in that, we'll give you more background on how this collaboration came into being. But to close off today, we have something very special provided by Cartoon Saloon. It's a very special St. Patrick's Day greeting. If you're not familiar with Cartoon Saloon, they are a short film and animation company based in Kilkenny. They have been nominated 5 times for Academy Awards, Golden Globe, BAFTA and Emmys. And you may know their previous work, Song of the Sea, The Secret of Cows. But right now, for this year, they've been nominated once again for an Academy Award for the animated film Wolf Walkers. And you'll spot the influence of that in this short film. So to conclude, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Thank you for all of your support throughout the year and your generosity and your time. And thank you for joining us today.
The Dole for Doe. In the kingdom of Ossory, there was a tribe with the power to heal. When Naomh Pádraig came to tell the people of the new religion, they stayed apart from the other tribes, for they would not give up the old ways. When the holy man preached, they howled like wolves from the forest, to remind the people that there was another, older wisdom in the woods. Some say that Patrick cursed them, others that he blessed them. But the result was the same. Evermore, they would walk as people by day and roam as wolves by night. Leaving their human form behind, any harm or good that befell them as wolves, they felt in their waking form too. They were a proud breed, living with the wild wolves, keeping the peace between man and the wilderness. And so, it's thanks to St. Patrick that I'm here today to say, Bannock Dí Lá Féile Pádraig. Happy Paddy's Day!